This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello, friends, and welcome once again to Super Connectivity. I am your host, Charlie the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits,
Phil Perich.
That is he. Oh, welcome, dear Philip. So many things to discuss this week. So little time. I do want to talk real quickly because I have been promising our listeners I would be live tweeting DuckTales every Monday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And I have missed it the last couple weeks. And last week was a lore-intensive episode, but a lore-intensive episode that may well upend all of the DuckTales universe.
Oh.
So, not to get too spoilery. Thank you, Philip. Last episode, Monday at 7 o'clock on Disney XD. 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Well, 7 o'clock wherever you happen to live. But Eastern Time specifically for me. We saw the quote-unquote first adventure, which clearly isn't the first adventure because it is established with it that Scrooge McDuck has had other adventures from which his treasure hunting adventures had built his fortune in that episode. He gets Della and Donald first associated with him. Interestingly enough, Donald is very articulate in this, suggesting that his inarticulateness is something that maybe has developed later in life or possibly as the result of something that occurred on the adventures. So that, because I was actually waiting for this adventure where I thought that there was going to be something that was going to happen that was going to make him far less articulate. But anyway, so to sum up, clearly whatever is happening here is happening in our current timeline sometime in the 90s. Based on the ages of Della and Donald, their cultural cues. Their cultural cues are very 90s, very grunge. Because they're supposed to be like young teenagers in this. But this also gives us what is ostensibly the origin of Fowl, which is our great villainous threat this season and the last few seasons. The problem is, dear sir, that previously in the secret case files of Agent 22, we have the confidential case files of Agent 22. We have another introduction between Beakley and Scrooge that seems to take place in the 60s, 30 years before, when Fowl seems to be active in that Black Heron is a threat in it. And in fact, I don't think Black Heron had lost her arm in that one yet, and she has lost her arm by this one. Additionally, in this episode, there's a reference by Scrooge that he knows Bradley from his Christmas party. But it is also suggested this is the origin of Fowl, which opens up this possibility that Fowl existed before Bradley thinks he founded Fowl. Which is sort of that whole, I'm taking you to see the real Mandarin kind of plot twist we may be building towards in DuckTales. So if those of you who remember Hail to the King, it was a short. You cannot find it on Disney Plus, which is weird. It's always weird when Disney starts doing that little Ministry of Truth thing. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't recall that ever existing.
Unless something's going to happen in Shang-Chi.
Well, exactly. That they don't want to tip the hat too early. So that short is supposed to be on the Blu-ray for Thor: The Dark World, and it no longer is.
Ew.
When you go into the extras for Thor: The Dark World, if you go to the other ones, you can see the other shorts. But for Thor: The Dark World, you don't get the short of Hail to the King. So that is an interesting thing. But I think they're setting up something, and I think that is going to be the reveal that I have predicted, that in fact Shere Khan is the founder of Fowl. And for what it's worth, Shere Khan has a relationship with the Vultures, of which Bradley is.
Ooh.
And there is even this implication that maybe Bradley is going to do a face turn by the end. Because we see that Bradley starts out in Shush. He is an accountant for Shush, and he creates his organization for world law enforcement, or basically where it is this idea of let's steal things before people can cause trouble by stealing them. Essentially, is the idea, and then Black Heron is the one who puts the F on the business card to say, call it Fowl, the fiendish organization for world larceny. Because Black Heron wants him to embrace his supervillainy. So it's very interesting what we're working with here. Maybe this is all retcons. Maybe they're going to act like it never happened and ignore that we've already met Fowl, or they're going to try and retcon it in another way. They're going to make it work timeline-wise. But right now I'm looking at it and I'm saying there is something wrong with this timeline, and I can tell that Disney isn't letting me go back to the Gummy Bears episode. I can't go back. I cannot find the secret case files of Agent 22 in either Hulu or Disney Plus right now. I could probably buy it somewhere, but it's like, oh, you're making this hard for me, aren't you, Disney Corporation? So, yes, I do think that we are building towards Shere Khan as the true master of Fowl. Bradley thinks he's the master of Fowl, but he is, as always, just an accountant. Bum, bum, bum. My second deep fan theory, along with Launchpad McQuack, is the secret father of the triplets, which we'll get to later. I was waiting for a Launchpad McQuack cameo in that with Della and Donald, but they did not give us one. Which again makes me think, why didn't you give us one?
But you got me with that Hail to the King thing. I might have to go in there and watch that, because I have Thor the Dark World on Blu-ray, so can't erase that.
You can't erase it. As Lilith says, get that hard media.
Mm-hmm.
They can never take that away. But in Hail to the King, the idea is that there is a real Mandarin, and the guy who was pretending to be the Mandarin wasn't really the Mandarin. And that's what we're going to get theoretically in Shang-Chi.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be interesting, especially if they have the Shang-Chi versus the, not Fu Manchu, because we don't own the rights to him anymore, but the character that we call Fu Manchu now in the Shang-Chi comic books. That there is a conflict between these two essentially supervillain superpowers, and Shang-Chi has to sort of defeat them both. So that'll be interesting as a story that they're going to tell there. Anyway, that's exciting. We talked about Shuri. We didn't really get as deep into it as we did on our messages. With the idea of the new Black Panther information.
Yeah.
And how Shuri is going to be represented in that. And it is this complex issue of, will Shuri be exploring something more than just her tech. I know you think that she should skip the chemistry and the organic qualities of that to build herself her own tech suit.
I just think they have the opportunity to set her apart from all of the past rulers who are basically all kings. I mean, the only probably only queens of Wakanda going back were probably only the ones married to the king, right?
I think that it's implied in the first one that there were at least one or two female Black Panthers. I think there were some women when T'Challa goes to the land of the ancestors.
Okay.
So, and of course, what is my most excited idea on this is that if she is, so we have a Mexican actor, I believe he's a Mexican actor. He might be Mexican American, but who is signed on to be an antagonist in it. Which, of course, just because of my limited thought process, I immediately go to the Tarantula.
Oh.
As an interesting guy, as a character who might be an interesting antagonist. I don't know if they've ever fought, but I know that the Tarantula has a history in the drug trade. And if the whole plotline of Shuri is she's trying to recreate the heart-shaped herb, which is lost to us now, I wonder if part of that might be searching the world, going to other exotic locations like the Amazon rainforest to find, is there something similar to the heart-shaped herb there?
And that would keep the story international too again, because Tarantula from South America, yeah,
exactly. Go to Brazil, which is one of the BRICS countries. And what I'm wondering is, if they do that, is it possible to bring in Tilda Johnson as the herbalist character?
You know what? We might have some of those rights back, because I think the Daredevil rights, Disney has the Daredevil.
Disney has all the rights to the Netflix stuff now. Now it's just, do they want to use them?
Yeah.
Do they want Luke Cage in there? Do they? And I think Tilda Johnson makes a great backdoor for it, especially because she is an herbalist. And she's going to be the one that's going to be able to bridge the gap for Shuri from the mystical to the scientific, because she is a scientist as well. And then, as I suggested, it might be fun if they do a culture exchange, and then suddenly Tilda's like, "Oh wow, robots are cool too."
What if Shuri's working with Tilda Johnson, and then if it is Tarantula, maybe he's getting juiced up, and guess who's juicing him up? Malice. Carl Malice.
Oh, Carl Malice. Well, I mean, my heart would love Carl Malice to show up again. I don't know if he's ever going to do it. We might not get Carl Malice again for years. I'm just saying.
That. I mean, he was in a bunch of comics. I mean, Spider.
No. Carl Malice as a character is like. I mean, he is my go-to. Honestly, I would much rather see Carl Malice than Arnim Zola any day.
I was gonna say, you need a mad scientist type. I mean, we've already kind of done Zola in the MCU. Let's get Malice in here in the movie.
Yeah, although I like MCU Zola, I'll be honest with you. If we can do digitized MCU Zola, I think that could be awesome.
Even with the TV in his chest?
Even with the TV, or just TVs anywhere, I like the idea that, I'm not in the TV, I'm in a data bank somewhere else, and that's just my image there. I like that as a concept. Honestly, I'm probably far more worried about Patton Oswalt as MODOK showing up at some point. I like the idea of MODOK, but it's like I kind of also feel like I don't know if that's the right vehicle for MODOK. It's like, we know MODOK is ridiculous. I don't know if we should put him as a show where it's just the ridiculousness.
Oh, you know what just hit me?
Yeah.
If you really want to give an enemy for Shuri, she, how she, tech is everything to her. If you want to push her to embrace the old ways like T'Challa did, you know what enemy you got to give Shuri?
Who?
Machine Smith, who can jump his consciousness into any technology.
Oh, Machine Smith's awesome. And I would love to see Machine Smith in there.
I'm sure he has to like figure out a way to fight technology without using technology.
Oh, that would be interesting. Especially if there is this idea that, the reason he can jump from machine to machine is because he's not digitized. If it was just data, there'd be 100 copies of him everywhere. And you'd have like your old when they brought back old Red Skull. He's like, "What? I've been alive since the 40s? What?" Well, no, you're just your old memory tapes now. So I'm just a completely different human being. It's like pretty much. Well, no, you're the same human being you were at that time, and now, yeah, it's just like, which is just a weird concept in general. It's almost a Dr. Evil, like, help me out here. What, there are mutants now?
Yeah.
What if have humans suddenly start to mutate and gain superhuman powers randomly? It's like, that already exists in this universe. Throw me a bone. I've been in digital tapes for the last 40 years. The 60 years at this point. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, what they're going to explore with that is, literally, we've got the news that we're working on that, and here's a person that might be in it, and nothing from Marvel, but this is what we're all saying, and it's not from IGotThisCovered.com.
Yeah, no.
Which is basically the Weekly World News of comics, and I love the Weekly World News.
But supposedly the rumor is sure he's going to play a big part, but they haven't said how.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously they kind of have to make sure it's not going to be M'Baku's story. I'm sorry. As much as I love M'Baku, as much as you love M'Baku, it's not going to be his story.
Yeah. No, the link you shared was from the Hollywood Reporter, so I mean, yeah, it's not like we got this covered.
Yeah, that's one of the real people. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see what they do.
I know.
You know what I would really find fascinating is if they actually bring in Chris Evans in old man makeup for it.
Ooh.
Because there's this idea. It's like, you are from a super soldier serum. This is essentially what the heart-shaped root is. How does that work? And he's like, I don't know. That has Dr. Erskine about that.
Or what if we're burying the lead? We're all worried about, sure, going to be Black Panther. What villain is this guy going to play? What if they use this as the backdoor to introduce Fantastic Four?
I mean, anything is possible. I mean, that's always the thing. Is like anything. It's not written yet. It's not shot yet. They can add anything. Ooh, you know what might be an interesting thing? If they really want to go weird, they could just introduce MVP, Michael Van Patrick, and just this crazy idea that, actually, no, the way you become a super soldier is you just eat this all organic diet and you train and work out every day with these very specific exercises, and that's how that works. You don't just grow it in a lab, which is one of my favorite lines, especially because, of course, they had already cloned Michael Van Patrick at that point. Mm-hmm. Like, no, it's actually not as hard as you think.
I mean, would it be a cheat or an easy way out? But I mean, what if Shuri just kind of got a blood transfusion from Steve Rogers or something?
I mean, yeah, well, that would be a definite cheat because it's a cheat. And it's also not the actual heart-shaped herb. Honestly, I would love to see backstory about Erskine actually going to Wakanda.
Oh.
That's the real secret. It's like, no, and like maybe even that would be the real interesting thing where you actually find out that Erskine went to Wakanda because he knew something was there.
That's how he
got vibranium.
That's how he figured out this super soldier serum is like he made a synthetic copy of that herb.
Exactly. That would be an interesting tie-in. And that's how we get to that point, Although, like I said, I would love to see Tilda Johnson in it. I would love to see them embrace stuff from the Netflixiverse, but we'll have to see what they decide to do. Bridging the gap is always the complexity. Speaking of bridging the gap, did we talk about the The new Spider-Man issue?
No. Remember, we talked symbiote Spider-Man, but yeah, we didn't talk about Amazing Spider-Man.
So, I gotta say, with Amazing Spider-Man, I know I'm wrong. Let me just preface it by this. What I'm about to say is wrong. It is not what they're going to do in the story. But I am not convinced that it is not Francis Clum. The character from...
You are convinced that's Francis Clum, right?
I am... let me put it this way. It's not that I'm convinced. I can look at all the data points and I can say, maybe I'm wrong. That there's knowledge that he probably shouldn't have. But I come back to that scene on the bridge where the Sparta women are tearing apart the bridge, and then suddenly they come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's afraid of them. But clearly when we saw them, they were the super monster characters. They all had like sideways mouths and crazy tentacles, not quantum tentacles, but, separate things that, but that people were still afraid of them. It implies to me that what we saw was what they saw, though they don't remember it. And that's where it gets a little weird for me. It's like, I can get that, they saw this and this was them being taken control of. But then you'd think they'd remember that they were taken control of.
I'll tell you what seems weird when Kindred takes off. Basically it looks like he has like a zombie face, but he takes it off and there's like a normal Osborn face under there.
Yeah, one of many Osborn faces.
Yeah,
because that's the thing. I wasn't sure if that's supposed to be Harry or Norman.
Well, again, the whole gotcha thing. Back in the 90s, before he died, when he went nuts and became the Green Goblin again, Harry, it was he would do stuff to Peter and be like, "Gotcha, tricked you, gotcha." Even like he left him a message after his death where he explained, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the guy who put the idea in Chameleon's head for him to send robot copies of your parents to Peter Parker to mess with Spider-Man. Gotcha."
Which is weird.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. But and again, this is where it gets into this weird quality of this whole scene, because of course, when Pete wakes up, and this is an interesting and again, this is one of these things that's like, wait a minute. When we last saw Francis Clum, Doctor Strange was involved in that story too. And it's there does seem to be a misdirection involved in this story. Because the last episode we see with Doctor Strange, he goes into that mindscape, but now it's all decayed. What's this about? But he's not in the story that we see Peter waking up which seems to be that same dystopian mindscape.
Yeah, but like I said, it's literally like a play-by-play of like the end of one more day and the brand new day. Yeah, after they make the deal with Mephisto, he wakes up in Aunt May's house exactly like that, and like it's basically almost word for word. Yeah,
yeah, but at the same time.
Yeah, but that's
again, this is
if it's Clum and he doesn't have mystical powers, wouldn't Doctor Strange see through that? If Peter can't see through that, wouldn't Doctor Strange see through that?
Doctor Strange hasn't met him yet. Here's what Doctor Strange knows. Doctor Strange knows Peter made a deal with the devil.
Yes.
Fair enough. Doctor Strange knows Peter's mindscape is nuts. None of that implies that what we're seeing from Peter's perspective is actually related to the Doctor Strange story. So when you go back, and this is the thing, is that the evil that men do, where Clum gets the Mysterio outfit, is written by Kevin Smith. The Death of Karen Page story, likewise written by Kevin Smith.
Mm-hmm.
If this guy's a huge Kevin Smith fan, So he's like, wait a minute, this is an interesting thing. So here we have this guy pretending to be a mystical being to mess with the mind of someone else. But it's actually Mysterio. And for what it's worth, it's entirely possible, as people are coming back from the dead regularly, we don't know that Francis's brother didn't come back too.
Well,
and deal with him and then sort of give him information, and then he gets all of the background information that he needed for when he was going to be Mysterio. Then he manipulates Mysterio to do what Mysterio does, and then it's like it gets into this whole thing where it's like, no, I have been planning this for years because I have a weird superpower where I can teleport drugs into people, and people like drugs a lot. And they will give you lots of money if you can give them drugs at just the right dose, at just the right time. They will pay you through the nose for that kind of quality artisanal service.
All right, you got me thinking now, and let me give you another clue. I think it might be the last issue. What is it, 55 or something of this? Like the solicit says something like, "Oh, when this is over, you're never going to look at the Osborns the same again." What if Peter and Mary Jane didn't make a deal with Mephisto? What if that was, I don't know, what if that was like Harry Osborn from hell messing with them or something?
Or maybe it was, who knows? I mean, it's entirely, I don't know what we're going to think about the Osborns after this. Although, for what it's worth, it's an Avengers right now. We found out that, actually, Howard Stark was making deals with the devil. Wow. So who knows? The Osborns have been making deals with the devil this whole time too.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe Norman was in that circle with Howard Stark.
Maybe it's all Pizzagate maybe it's all Pizzagate's down, and all of these super rich billionaires were all making deals with Mephisto.
But whether it's Flum or an Osborn, maybe someone else. Yeah, maybe it wasn't Mephisto, because I don't think Mephisto's ever bragged about taking that marriage, and Mephisto.
Mephisto has made references, or people we thought were Mephisto. Again, that's the thing. It's like, what is a Mephisto?
True.
That's one of these things. Like, if you read the Patsy Walker Hellcat story when she comes back, and it gets into this whole thing about, is Satanish even a thing? Yeah. Or is he just an aspect of the dark dimension? And then later it's like, no, Satanish is a thing. That's just perception and observation. And it's like, oh, wait, no, we perceived something, and that plays into it. And it goes into this, and that's sort of the thing. It's like one of the ideas I thought was like, okay, let's just take everything at face value. And maybe what Mary Jane whispered in Mephisto's ear is, bring these people back too. I'll do this, but I'm not doing it for freaking Aunt May, who's going to die of a heart attack in 2 weeks. Because I'm not stupid. Yeah, she got shot, but that woman should have been dead 6 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was Harry, because I think the original plan, I forget where I heard this, I think someone in the Marvel office was like, oh, let's use this to bring back Gwen Stacy, and everyone was like, someone was like, no, we're not doing that. No.
Yeah. But maybe that's how other things happened. Like, for example, maybe that's why Gwen Stacy exists in another universe, and that why she can travel between universes, because that's part of the deal. Maybe there's all sorts of things that are part of the deal. Like, maybe she's like, I want everyone that Peter has hurt to be able to come back, which maybe leads into why the Chameleon could bring everyone back. Well, not the Chameleon, the Jackal.
Yeah.
Maybe there's all sorts of things that Mary Jane asked for in that whisper.
So I want to know what's going on, because, supposedly since Brand New Day, Harry Osborn's been alive. So was that faked? Was that some sort of imposter? Has he been biding his time? I was like, ugh. Or
maybe, oh man, you want to go on a deep dive in this?
Oh boy.
Flum has been Harry Osborn the whole time. He's like, you know what would be a good thing to do, and not for nothing, it doesn't impede Mephisto being a part of this, because he can know, because that's the thing, we know that Mysterio came back from the dead. We know, because there was a whole thing in, I think it was, what was it, during the Dark Avengers run, that there was this whole all the villains get brought back from the dead, because why not have more villains? Because that seems practical in this short term. Because it's Osborn.
Oh, I also was going to say, I think I said it for when you said it might be Mysterio. I mean, if it's Clum was like, pretending to be Harry, Norman's gonna kill him.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. But then again, it's just this idea of, and it's sort of this thing where if someone can teleport drugs into your body,
yeah,
that's the thing. It's like he has this weird superpower that is just perfectly. It's sort of like, it's basically mind control by other means.
Yeah. I just wonder though if like they're gonna like they've kind of neutered Norman right now because the Sin Eater kid him like he did a bunch of those villains. Now he's all like, I'm sorry for everything I've done. So I wonder if they've kind of done that to Norman because they're gonna make Harry like the big evil goblin now.
Anything's possible, and honestly, I don't think you keep a good goblin down.
Oh yeah, no.
Wasn't his face falling off last week? It's so hard to keep track with Norman anymore.
I mean, around in Amazing 800, I mean, he got, or was it before that? He got cured of that goblin serum. But yeah, guess what? In the beginning of this thing, he takes the goblin serum again.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, I remember the great Otto Octavius cures him of his goblin. And then he goes and gets his face all restructured. Which annoyed me because the whole thing was like, oh yes, they've never faced me when I was sane, and now I'm going to be a Lex Luthor type character. And there's like, no one wants.
That didn't last.
No one wants Norman Osborn as Lex Luthor, and then they like had his face fall off and all sorts of nonsense. And I don't know. Sometimes with Spider-Man, you're like, man, is DC writing this book?
Well, it's kind of tricky when you get into like mystical stuff with Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think it should be that. Here's the thing. I don't think Spider-Man having a tie to a mystical reality should be that difficult.
No, but no, I think they're trying to write themselves out of a corner now because they had to make a deal with the devil. Now it's like, yeah, everyone's been complaining for the last like 13 years. Yeah, and he would never make a deal with the devil.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, that was a bad idea. Was that Bendis?
No, that was Joe Quesada. No.
Joe!
Exactly.
Come on, Joe. I mean,
it's like your flagship character. I mean, the character you put on underwear and T-shirts and everything to make a deal with the devil. Yeah,
it was a bad idea, and it's the kind of idea that where you immediately know it's a deal with the devil. When does any human think? Like, literally, the only person who was ever excited to make a deal with the devil was Samuel Stearns.
Exactly.
Because he thought he was smarter than the devil. And as it turns out, maybe he was when we get to Immortal Hulk. So,
You want to go to Immortal Hulk?
Let's go to Immortal Hulk real quick.
Number 40. Yeah, baby.
I got a bunch of Scotty Young covers. I don't know if anyone else did. But,
no, I know.
Yeah, I like them. They're cool.
I got 70s Joe Fixit on my cover.
Oh, that's a good one, man. I don't know how I feel about body horror Hulk. That's just a thing now.
He just like falls. Yeah, he just like spits himself out.
Yeah, it's just like, what the hell now? I'm sorry, what the heck now?
Yeah. Oh, but did you enjoy Doc Sasquatch?
I like Doc Sasquatch. Just the idea of, which is essentially what we're establishing in this is you can jump into whoever's body is available.
As long as you go through their door, I guess. Yeah.
Which also implies that She-Hulk has another door available too. So there's, oh wow, Betsy, she could come back as Betty Ross at some point. Oh. So if Jan Walters ever does die, she can come back through Betty's door. If Betty decides she doesn't want to. I love Guy Ritchie coming back. I
was going to say, you got Guy Ritchie, you got Absorber.
We got Henry Peter Guy Ritchie. I love Henry Peter Guy Ritchie.
You got Carl Crusher Creel in this.
And I love my Creel. I love what I love is Creel and Titania.
Mm-hmm.
just being a happy couple. Trying to find a good scene of that, but there's like several, and like Chris, like, man, I already feel like too much of a cop. Quit making me feel like a cop, you know. And it's delightful because it feeds into this idea that Creel is who he's around, and Titania isn't a horrible person. They get into their own super villainous phases, and then after a while they go like, wow, that was a weird phase I went through. Maybe we should like stop doing that and try to find a better way to live our lives,
Mm-hmm.
I like Joe Fixit in this. I don't know how I feel about the big Hulk thing fight at the end.
Oh, that's coming up. That's issue, yeah.
Especially with Hulk looking like all sad and wan. Because if they just use this to say, well, now we're going to have the Hulk beat the Thing again, because, we let you beat him in your book, now we're going to fight you in this book, we're going to beat you, even though we're clearly, we're also going to write the Thing to be a jerk in this. Instead of a guy who's like going to understand, like, dude, what's going on, man? You look sick, so let's talk about this.
For always Ben Grimm knows is the Hulk broke out of custody. That's all we know,
Well, I know he knows the Hulk broke out of custody, but at the same time, it's like, I hate when they dumb down the Thing.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, broke out of custody. The Thing is not some idiot who doesn't know that, oh, yeah, sometimes you're in custody for no good reason because you're a freaking monster. The Thing knows what it's like to be a monster.
Yeah, but remember,
he's not going to punch a monster for no reason, but he also,
I don't know if you remember the couple issues back, the lever made him explode. So it's like maybe Ben's just like it's not in your control, but you're dangerous, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to enjoy putting you back in your cell, but
yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping for better next issue. Here's what I'm going to say: too often when we get to this moment, it does degrade into this. It's clobbering time.
Yeah, and like you said, it is the Hulk's book, so yeah, it's gonna be like, is the Hulk?
Yeah, I don't like to see the Hulk. I don't like. It's not even that I don't want the fight. It's that I want the Thing to be played better. I don't want the Thing to be played poorly just because he's in the Hulk's book. And I think if you're going to write the Hulk, you should have respect for who Ben Grimm is. Just in the same way, if you're writing a Thing book, you should have respect for who and what the Hulk is.
Unless Joe comes on and has a conversation with him, he's like, "All right, Grimm, shut up. I know you're not dumb. I'm not dumb. Let's talk about this."
And I would love that. That is exactly where I want this to go. And I would love for them to just have a nice little say, "Look, can we talk about this over a beer?" It's like, okay, yeah, that's great. I know a good spot right around the corner.
Did you see the letters page? The cover for next issue, it looks like the two of them sitting at a table in a diner.
Okay, well then there we go. So I missed that image, and I should have caught it, and perhaps I was too upset, But oh well, okay. So there's two. There's this one, and I guess I saw this one, which is
it could be like a King in Black tie-in issue. That I don't think it's one of the regular issues, but yeah. Okay. The actual next issue is them sitting at that table.
Yeah. See, this is the thing I want to see. So so in that, great.
It's Al. It's Al. We'll probably get that.
Yeah, and speaking of the Thing having to fight through monsters, let's talk Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Number 26. I had the Phoenix Namor variation, which is kind of an annoying cover to me, because first off, which one did you have?
I think I got the regular cover.
Yeah. Oh, that's a cool cover. I like that. But
yeah. What lies beyond the Forever Gate?
Yeah, for those who don't know, they're doing lots of Phoenix. Who will get the Phoenix Force? And it's like, oh, Captain America Phoenix Force. Kind of interesting.
Because that's coming up in the Avengers.
Namor has had the Phoenix Force. It's like, I know this. I don't really care to see it again. Especially because I don't like the idea of Namor with the Phoenix Force, because Namor is mentally unstable. I like the whole man thing subplot here at the start.
Oh, yeah. You see him grab somebody by the head. I don't know if he tries to burn him, but it's Johnny. So it's like, hey, Ted, what's up?
Hey Ted, which I love, and I also just love that he doesn't know Ted. He's calling him Ted, but he doesn't know Ted. He just doesn't know the man thing. He's just like, nah, Ben told me about him.
Is he just trying to? I'm not afraid of you. Hi, you know my buddy.
And then you get this. I don't know how I feel about the Valeria and her avatar prince.
Oh yeah, because she actually figures out how to control the portal. She goes to visit that prince, and he's got all these.
Well, and as she says, like, I'm sorry, this is my culture, and this is what we do. We have 6 hearts. That's room for 6 people to love.
I mean, again,
if it's a fair polyamorous relationship, then each of those 6 concubines has 6 husbands as well.
I mean, I guess Valeria didn't know that was the deal. I guess,
Well, in which case, she really didn't know him at all, did he?
No, and it was puppy love.
And for real, it's like you're a teenage girl who fell in love with a guy with good abs.
Yeah, I mean, she might be one of the smartest people on the planet, but again, it's like she's a teenage girl,
Yeah, true.
First puppy love, yeah.
But they leave the gate open. So plot line here we have.
Okay, here's the big thing I wanted to ask you about the whole Franklin thing.
Yeah. Oh, the Franklin thing was beautiful, honestly.
Well, no, Professor X. Oh, you were never a mutant.
Yeah, well, and exactly because what it was you wanted to be something, and so you became something.
Okay, so I'm confused here. Maybe you can clarify this for me. So he's not a mutant, but he was born with his powers?
So Franklin's better than you is basically what the plotline is. And what it is for what it really comes down to is it's not so. And it's just honestly what this is the subtle racism of mutanthood.
I was just like, oh, is it just Xavier's like, oh, I can't use you anymore, so get lost.
Well, I mean, honestly, Xavier is basically a mushroom at the moment, so yeah.
Exactly.
But that's not Xavier. That's a mushroom that thinks it's Xavier. Much like Ted Sallis is a pile of goo that thinks it's Ted Sallis. Although in the Man Thing's defense, it's a pile of goo that doesn't know it's Ted Sallis, but might have some relationship to Ted Sallis.
All right.
Again, something that Marvel did better than Alan Moore ever did years later.
I did have a no prize answer if they did want to work around where Franklin isn't a mutant.
Mm-hmm.
All right, he was born with his powers, okay, but remember the pregnancy was very, didn't Ben Reed and Johnny have to go into the negative zone, and didn't they have to bring out the cosmic control rod?
Yeah, they did bring out the cosmic control rod. So yeah, he was exposed to all kinds of cosmic energies.
Maybe genetically he wasn't going to have powers, but somehow he got bombarded with negative zone energy, and that's where his powers came from.
Well, I mean, the counter argument is he was supposed to have powers that would have been essentially the argument is that had he been born without the cosmic control rod, his powers would have destroyed all of the world, perhaps all of reality.
And again, too, was he going to be born with powers because both his parents' DNA was altered in that cosmic ray storm? So isn't that the definition of a mutant?
Well, it is. Again, it's honestly, I don't take anything current Krakoa mutants say,
I guess,
as canon. And in this actual book and in the Juggernaut book, there's this whole thing about how, when Franklin tries to talk to Leech and Artie about Krakoa, they're like, that sounds stupid. They're not like, oh, great, let's go to Krakoa where we can be part of that group that didn't want us when they knew we were mutants.
But I mean, it's either one of two things. It's either like Xavier's lying or Slott's a bad writer, because it's like, okay, I get it that Franklin used whatever power to make himself a mutant almost, but wouldn't Reed have figured that out, or Valeria?
And again, this goes to, as I've said, the basic psychological quality of the G particle, which is established, which I think is a fair cop. And this idea that, the reason Ben can't transform back and forth is because he knows if he transforms back and forth, it's going to take a psychological toll on him. And what the Future Foundation understood, and what they aren't telling Ben, is that you can change back whenever the heck you feel like. It does, but you will only do it when we give you a ritual. And that ritual has to be something that makes you feel like you don't have control. Basically, unless we tie you up and shoot you with some kind of cosmic ray or give you a placebo to drink, you are not going to transform because you are so afraid of what having two different existences would mean for you.
Okay, I'm dumb. Where does Franklin's powers come from if he's not a mutant?
Franklin's power? No, well, he's not a mutant. He's. Well, here's the thing. It's like, what is it? Here's the thing. Let me give you from the Handbook of the Marvel Universe and the supervillain Solar, who apparently was a mutant, but only developed his latent mutant ability when his car broke down in the desert and he had to walk under the hot blazing sun for 12 hours and established enough solar energy to start having solar energy powers.
Well, I thought that was the definition of a mutant. Is it's like, your powers don't come out in day one. But you're born with it in your DNA, and it either comes out during puberty or some traumatic accident or something. But
well, I mean, that's what they tell themselves. Yeah. But as we know, so here's the thing. As any good reader of any Sentinel-based story will tell you, as the Master Mold saw, every human is a mutant. The X gene is in every human. It is just a question of whether it is active or not. And to give you a fun gag in the whole thing, it's not that Franklin isn't a mutant anymore. It's that he made himself not be a mutant, and that altered the reality so that now Professor Xavier has to say he's not a mutant.
I buy that, yes.
Because it's like, no, you alter reality by your whim. You are the Beyonder, Franklin. Oh, God, so that's going to be a fun fact.
That's true. That's right. Because, even though those aliens show up, they're like, oh, you are God. And even Ricky Barnes, you created my world and everyone I know.
Exactly. It's like, oh, good, but I'm not a God anymore. It's like, well, that doesn't help. And they're going to have the Griever come back. I don't like the Griever. I'm going to be honest.
I know. I read that last page. I was kind of like,
Her back? The problem with the Griever is, are you an elder of the universe, or are you an esoteric concept?
Yeah.
If you're an esoteric concept, you shouldn't be relishing in the things you do. If you're an elder of the universe, then you're just some old person who is doing stuff, through tech, and it's like no one cares about you.
Yeah. I mean, I could care less either way about her.
Yeah, she is a very poorly written and designed character.
I was more intrigued with the return of Elijah.
No, Elijah is awesome, and honestly, the whole so here's all the people I've stupped. Here's all the ladies I've stupped. Here's all the ladies I've stupped.
Crystal, her sister.
Yeah, Elijah, but I thought it was my friend's girlfriend at the time. Yeah, it's like
what?
It's guys like what? It's like, which is kind of like, it's like, dude, you're marrying someone from which is a nice bookend to Valeria's story, where she met someone from a different culture, and she thought that it was this thing that she understood in her culture, but it was not in any way. And then here's Sky, who in very much is in Valeria's perspective, where she is an innocent. She doesn't even know that you can just travel to other planets like super fast in this universe. It's like, dude, it's like, oh, so I could go back to my home planet with this gate. It's like, dude, we can just take a rocket ship there. It'll be faster than it's going to take us to get back to New York from Florida. You know, it's like, once we get out into space, it's like super fast. We can go fast. We can get there, no problem. And it's just like, oh, you don't know anything, do you? And
so what you're saying is Florida is more the final frontier than space is.
Well, it is a cesspool.
And I mean, everyone always laughs at Johnny and makes fun of Johnny, and you know, it's like, oh, the Elijah thing. But it's like, I mean, basically, isn't Elijah a rapist? I mean, she slept with him for how many years under false pretense?
Okay. Well, it comes into the question of, is false pretense is false pretense sexual intercourse rape if it's over numerous?
Would he have slept with her to begin with if he had known who she was?
Well, I mean, that's a complex question because she was who she was.
Yes.
At no point did she present herself as anything other than a woman who knows what she knows, who talks about what she talks about, who likes what she likes, and is working as a blind. I mean, you could argue, well, you really weren't blind.
Yeah.
And then you could say, oh, well, she really wasn't blind, and that's a lie. But that's, you know, I mean, honestly, yeah, I get what you're saying, and I do get the idea. I'm not willing to say that Johnny Storm was raped.
Yeah. Just
because.
I mean, and I'm not saying he didn't fall in love with her. Eventually, he did fall in love with her.
Exactly. It's like, I think at that point in the relationship, it gets to be this question of, are you being manipulated or are you going along with it? And, you know, when it comes to a character like Elijah, because even when Elijah is revealed to him, he sticks it out with her for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's not like, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, he doesn't, to put it simply, he does not have the trauma of rape. He has a technical definition that someone could say he was raped. And that is a fair concept that he might want to explore in a psychological deconstruction if we can get a decent psychiatrist back in the Marvel Universe. Since we don't have one currently, since Doc Samson is now did a heel turn. Oh.
And it's like Johnny and poor Alicia. I mean, Johnny kind of knows, you know, her every intimate detail.
Well, you know, I mean, the thing with, and of course, well, even more, it's like Ben and Alicia's now daughter knows all the details of it. So it's like, you know, that's the weird thing. It's like, yeah, I know exactly what my uncle's penis looks like. Not in a bad way, but it's just something I know because that's part of our lore.
Yeah.
That's our lore, and I have to live with it. Which again shows how much abuse was visited on these children of Ben and Alicia, which again explains why they're freaking attacking people in the street.
That wasn't funny though. You were gonna blast him with the power washer. I had it on maximum.
Yeah, well, you know, he's doing what he can do. He's honestly, it's a mess. But I'm interested in where we go with that. I mean, honestly, I would rather not have the Griever. And honestly, just the idea of, okay, is the Griever behind you? He's like, yeah, she's right behind me. Okay, turn it off. Scatter her atoms throughout eternity. That's fine. We're good with that now. He's like, no, we can't turn it off. If we turn it off, whoever's in transit will be destroyed.
Plus, I thought they couldn't shut it down, or did Valeria figure that out?
No, well, yeah, Valeria. Well, you can change the channel now.
Yeah, I was gonna say shut her somewhere else.
Well, exactly. Well, that's the idea, and I'm sure that's something they'll do later. But or they'll just defeat the Griever because now she's got all the alien races now. Like, we're gonna kill you because we don't know what you are. You're not an esoteric concept because you're using technology. If you're using technology, you must be an elder of the universe. If you're an elder of the universe, you are supremely defeatable. I mean, no, really. It's like, what are you? Are you an elder of the universe, or are you an esoteric concept? And everything about her seems to say she's an elder of the universe, but she acts like she's an esoteric concept.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's like you are just an elder. Okay, you're an old lady from the dawn of time. You have a lot of super space tech. We're gonna shoot you with a laser gun, and we're gonna call it a day. Because if you don't got an Infinity Stone, and the esoteric concept of death has not promised not to take you to death, you're just some lady. So, sorry, lady. We'll call it a day. You want to talk Captain America real quick?
I was going to say, yeah, I got one more, Cap 25, yeah.
Ta-Nehisi Coates was on Daily Show this week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I cannot tell you how mad it makes me that every time someone interviews Ta-Nehisi Coates, no one mentions Captain America. No one mentions Black Panther. And it's like, dude,
I forget.
Are you ashamed of this all?
I forget how they described him. Yeah, that when they did that, when Chadwick Boseman died, like they did the ABC, they played Black Panther, then they had a special and they interviewed a bunch of people. Yeah, they interviewed Chadwick Boseman or Ta-Nehisi Coates because he knew him, and yeah, I forget how they described him. It was either like a reporter or something, or writer or something. But yeah, no mention of comic books. I'm like, you're talking about a guy who played a Marvel character. And you're not saying this guy actually wrote the Black Panther comic.
That he's writing Captain America now.
I know, but it's like they were
the Captain America.
I'm like, you're talking about the guy who played Black Panther. You're not going to mention this guy wrote the Black Panther comic and kind of tie it in.
Yeah, I mean, and granted, he didn't. Maybe they wanted to keep some of that mystique for Stan. I can get that, but at the same time, it's just like,
just put it at the bottom of the screen,
Yeah, or like, because he's the current writer. Is he the current writer on Black Panther?
Is that book still going? I don't know.
No, Black Panther's still going because I thought like the last Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Panther is coming out soon.
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah, it's
and it's like, and that he's writing Captain America, which I think is, and it's not to be rude about it, but it's like Captain America is to me, he's a bigger deal. He's like the older character. He's the more established character. He is Marvel's Superman, if you will. Maybe not in sales, but at least in ethos. And here's what I'm going to say. It's not like he's writing Captain America as I guess I gotta. He is crushing Captain America as a writer. And
here, I just looked it up. Yeah, the Black Panther book's been on a long break. I guess it never came back after
COVID.
So. After COVID, but now they're saying the next issue is going to be out like in February. So yeah, almost.
Yeah, but it is written by Ta-Nehisi.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like even right there, even within Ta-Nehisi Coates' character as a celebrity, to say the current writer of Black Panther,
or even like when they did that special, just put it at the bottom of the screen, Marvel writer.
Well, you can say author, reporter, writer of Black Panther.
Yeah.
I think honestly I don't know why you're not. That's what it comes down to, is I don't know why you're not. I don't, and it's an annoyance to me, because I would love to see Ta-Nehisi Coates talk about, when I'm approaching Captain America, I have to look at this idea of, what if I was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, 6'2" white guy, but I was also a kind-hearted person who was woke? How would I be that person? How can I describe this person who is from the 40s, who lived through actual segregation, but who never really had the mindset of, don't give me that stuff. Don't tell me these people are lesser than me. These people are, how do I write a person from the 40s who was super woke in the 40s? sitting next to Gabe Jones and eating with his utensils because he was dang hungry at the time, and isn't acting like that's the end of the world,
But I just don't understand how, like, in any interview he does, especially like TV or something, if like why Disney wouldn't kind of ask him, hey, can you mention you're writing Captain America? Hey, can you mention?
I kind of get the feeling that it's Ta-Nehisi. Maybe he doesn't want to admit he writes comic books for a living. Maybe it's a reverse Stan Lee.
Huh.
It's like he's like, oh, I don't want to let people know I write comic books for a living. I don't know. It bugs me, and it's a small bug.
But he could help them because it's like, you watch this interview, and if you're like, hey, this is like a well-spoken, intelligent man, and he's writing Captain America and Black Panther, man, I want to check this out. I mean, this is a smart guy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's. There's a lot of factors into it. And maybe it's expressly because
I could see a few years ago maybe saying you didn't want to write comics, but now with like the success of the MCU, there's so many like superhero fans out there now.
I understand. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And again, maybe that's him too.
I guess
because he doesn't. I mean, not for nothing. He exists in a very high spot, and it's sort of one of those things where you say as it turns out, when you say someone is well-spoken, as if it was an oddity that is, sometimes seen as a weird thing. Let's face it, racial dynamics in this country are messed up.
I mean, I don't. No, I'm not even saying that. I'm saying
no. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying
there's like 50% of the country that's not well-spoken. Okay, so.
No, fair enough. I mean, heck, I'm not that well spoken.
I mean, and you said he was on the Daily Show. I mean, half those celebrities that do those talk shows aren't deep thinkers. That's what I'm saying. Do you say, hey, here's a
I guess my thing is, here's what I'll say. When Colbert was hosting here's what I mean. I guess maybe it's even a point that maybe Trevor Noah doesn't read comics. Like Colbert, I know would make that a point of the interview.
Yeah.
I feel like Colbert, and maybe that's why I haven't seen him on Colbert recently. It's like, oh man, Colbert's going to talk about Cap, and I don't want that to be my legacy. Yeah, which I get too. It's like it's this idea. I built myself up, and I'm in a spot. It's sort of like Kevin Smith. He built himself up as a film producer, and now he writes comic books.
Yeah,
sometimes too. When he has when he gets around to it. But for Kevin Smith, it's sort of like a cherry on his sundae. And I can see how maybe Ta-Nehisi Coates maybe doesn't want to finish his sundae yet. Like Kevin Smith, he's like, yeah, my Sunday's done. I just put that cherry on top. I'm going to write some.
It's just like list all your credits, put comic books at the bottom, But,
not everybody. See, and this is what's fun about talking about this is the more I talk about it, the more like, oh, I kind of see his point now. It's like he doesn't want that to be his definition. And I get what you're saying. I get what everyone else is saying, including myself 5 minutes ago. But I'm also like, oh, wait, maybe he just is like, what?
It's not the 80s or 90s. A quick Google search will tell you he's writing Black Panther and Captain America.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. If you want to look it up, that's fine. It's listed somewhere else. But he doesn't want that to be the legacy when he wants to talk about things. Unless he's there on a tour for Captain America, which I'm sure he did, like at the time Captain America came out. And then he's like, no, I did my tour. I'm done with that tour. I'm continuing to do the work because it's good money and I like the character and I like writing the stories. They're great stories. But right now we're talking about other things and I don't want, and not for nothing, just to make an obvious point in this, now that I think about it, it's like, oh man, maybe he's sitting there thinking, man, I do not want Captain America's sales to tank if people realize a black guy's writing it. That there may be a lot of people reading this book who don't know that it's currently written by a black guy. And he's like, any number of things could be at play here that he is dealing with.
But it's not Joe Smith's name on the cover either. It's not a pseudonym. No. But again, I get all your points. I respect his choices, but it's like, the industry's hurting right now. We could use a spokesman, a well-spoken spokesman, any of these writers that could get on TV should be like, oh, hey, guess what I'm writing?
Oh, yeah. No, all of them should be doing more press. But then again, you don't get paid for press, so it's like that's a lot of time out of people's days.
But maybe you sell a couple more issues.
Yeah, or you sell a few less issues, which is the other concept. It's like you don't want to go on online, and you never want to say something stupid when you're online either. It's like because you say something that suddenly gets controversial. And for what it's worth, Ta-Nehisi Coates, he is a controversial writer.
Yeah, but I think,
and God bless Marvel for saying, hey, you can write just a Captain America story, can't you? It's like, yeah. It says, can it be political? It's like, sure, Captain's always political. He punches Nazis all the time.
But I think
just have him punch a Nazi, and then we're totally cool.
He's a smart enough writer. He's good with words. I don't think they're going to trick him into saying anything he doesn't want to say.
You imagine that, but he's going on a show.
True.
That's the thing. They're going to give him questions, and he doesn't always know what the question is going to be. And if nothing else, I'm sure in order to get him on the show, you get that list of questions. Here's the questions he'll talk about. Here's what he'll answer. And if you're going to try and give him a gotcha question, you just give a gotcha question to a comic book writer. Right. It's like, oh boy, everyone thinks you're Woodward and Bernstein now. It's like.
So what was he on there to talk about if he wasn't on there to talk about comics?
Honestly, it was just about the world as it exists, and he just has a book out. I can't remember what it's called, but basically Oprah Winfrey and Brad Pitt are developing it into a movie, and he's taking the kind of 52 pickup view, which is like, hey, great to talk to you, and great that you want to make a movie out of my thing. Thanks for the check, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Is that another thing maybe that like with this book he owns most or all the rights, but with Marvel he doesn't own that? He doesn't own Captain America. He doesn't own
well, obviously he doesn't, but I would think here's the thing. And I guess maybe that's the more complex question is I don't know if he sees comic books as a feather in his cap. Like Kevin Smith, every comic book he writes, that's a feather in his cap. To him, that's living the dream. For Ta-Nehisi Coates, it may be like, no, it's cool, man. I'm lucky that they want me. I'm glad to write these interesting, complex stories. I appreciate the characters and what you can do with them, but it's not necessarily something that when I was a kid, reading and writing as a kid, that this was, oh man, someday maybe I'll write Captain America, or I'll write the Falcon, or I'll write Black Panther.
Maybe I'm just naive and I love comics too much, but it's if nothing else, don't you think you want to get the message out? Oh yeah, look, I put out consistent writing and good work every month, and maybe some TV show sees that and be like, oh hey, this guy can stick to his schedule, he can get scripts or whatever, and
but then again, it's this question of does he want to do TV?
Maybe,
that's the thing. It's
the first thing that comes to mind, but maybe he gets 6 different pitches for 6 different things, and he's like, oh, I like this one.
I mean, it really comes down to that question of does he want to be Jordan Peele? Does he want to be this guy who's in the business? Moving a lot of it's Jordan Peele, right? He's the producer. He's the guy on.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you get those. They're called Key and Peele, man. It's hard to keep them. Anytime I still don't know which one is Abbott and Costello. So Laurel and Hardy confounded me for years. Which one's which? I eventually had a mnemonic device that said Hardy was the fat guy. So, because Hardy means a hearty meal. So, anyway, but yeah, Jordan Peele is in that place right now where he gets to tell what stories he wants to, gets to build out what universes he wants to. And that's a lot of work for Jordan Peele. And, that may not be may not be the path that Ta-Nehisi Coates wants to go down. He doesn't want to be known in that way. So fair enough. I just wish they would make the mention of it because I like Captain America. I want people to mention the things that I like when they're being interviewed, when I know you're in that thing. So say that you're in that thing.
And again, the whole comic industry could use the help.
Well, yeah, that definitely. And I'm sure if they would pay him for the appearances, he would talk. Oh, you want me to pitch that? Yeah, okay. That's $50. $50 for a half hour, $100 for a full hour. So, yeah, so that's that. But
what do you think of the actual issue?
The actual issue, which I've already dropped, I liked it, but it is such a stark jump between the end of the issue and then the start of the backup.
Yeah,
where you don't even realize, at least I didn't realize, that the backup was a separate story.
Yeah, I know. It just gets very weird.
It just goes to the end of it, which is,
doesn't say
and then we have to be willing to sacrifice ourselves. Although, man, I just want to do this toss out that Rebecca Barnes comes back in Fantastic Four and starts flirting with Franklin. Well, maybe not flirting with Franklin, but it's like, wow, you're like God in my universe. Like, yeah, I get that a lot. It's kind of interesting with Rebecca.
Or Ricky, yeah.
Oh, Ricky Barnes. Well, I think it's short for Rebecca, but yeah.
Maybe, yeah, but I know they were calling her Ricky because I don't know if they wanted to do when they first started to do a combo of, Rick Jones and Bucky Barnes, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the original thing she was, but then, and that's the thing is that this particular R. Barnes, if we will, has been through different iterations where she has also been the 1940s Bucky Barnes as well with again, to tie into it's like Peggy Carter, Captain America. It's like, oh, and now she's back in Ta-Nehisi Coates, and we're not even going to talk about that. I mean, to me, I guess maybe the deepest level is I kind of think that they don't mention it because, man, we got so many balls in the air. I can't say anything right now because we got something that's going to shock you. You're like, what? It was Francis Clum the whole time? I did not see that coming. Anyway, yeah, but no, I mean it's a good story. It's a very, and they give all this weird backstory where apparently what's her name? Lucan's wife.
Oh yeah,
alive in the 40s.
Yeah,
and was part of the Russian resistance. Which is one of these things where you realize, oh, she's like some kind of weirdo eternally young sorceress, and her wedding to Lucan was its own power play itself. So it's a big reveal there. And then Peggy coming back. Although, again, I hope it is the Peggy from the alternate universe where she got the super soldier serum, because I think that's a better story. But maybe they're just going to not really ever explain it. And then it's going to be headcanon that that's who she was.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, in the flashbacks, they show her, with, Steve as Cap. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they also make the point that it was never really anything serious between them.
Nah, just like a fling, yeah.
Yeah, which it is interesting, whatever the heck it is they're setting up. So, and again, this is the thing, it intrigues me. It attracts me in. The backup story that you didn't realize what it was until you're like halfway through it, and it's like, oh, that's something else, is a really nice story about Cap befriending an immigrant when he came to this country. And it's just your basic SJW, social justice warrior, which is what Cap freaking is. Because why would you be opposed to social justice? If you had powers and you could fight for things, wouldn't social justice be something you would fight for? It's like, especially if your name was freaking Captain America, would you be like, no, I want less justice in the society. That's what I fight for. That's not what Captain America should fight for.
He says it again in this issue, and I know he said it before. He's like, I don't fight for a country, a president, nor a flag. I fight for the dream. That everyone could have this dream.
Exactly. And he doesn't care that, the founders didn't intend for the dream to go to everybody. It's like, who the F cares what the founders thought?
The founders didn't know.
On Star Trek were a bunch of shapeshifters. We don't want to deal with them.
You think
deal with what our reality is right now.
You think the founders knew cell phones were coming? No.
Well, I mean, who knows what they knew what was coming? Here's what I'll say. You can say anything about any founding father. Say, well, he was a brilliant man. He would have understood that eventually guns would shoot more bullets. It's like, yeah, but even then, first off, all that kind of thing about guns might one day shoot more bullets. They also, if you're going to go down that road, you have to say, well, yes, and they also had no respect for the common man. So they would not have wanted the common man to have a gun that shot a bunch of bullets.
Yeah, they had slaves. I mean, come on.
Exactly. It's like, those guys definitely can't have a gun with more than one bullet. It's like no matter how you slice it, you can't fit our modern world into their world.
Exactly.
You have to just take the ideas and ideals. And, this is what is true. This is something I've always said. America is not a democracy or a republic. We are a secular theocracy. We have a set of sacred writings called the laws and the Constitution that are interpreted by high priests called judges in the Supreme Court. And that discussion of interpretation is what our governance is.
Oh, but hey, to bring it back to this issue, because we are going long. Did you see the cover for next issue?
What's the next issue?
Red
Hulk.
Red Hulk.
I don't know which Red Hulk that is. I know that.
I was gonna say, is Ross gonna get his groove back? Because Ross was in this issue.
Yeah, Ross is in this issue. So yeah, maybe it's Ross. He went through the red door.
Oh, look, they intentionally keep his face in shadow so you can't see if he has a mustache or not.
Well, there is another Red Hulk.
That's what I'm saying. Isn't that the guy
that does have a mustache? So
that's what I'm saying. Ross didn't have a mustache as Hulk. That other guy.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
What I'm saying. Did they keep his face dark so you can't tell which Red Hulk that's?
Or maybe it's just a completely new Red Hulk. It's Red Hulk. It's Lucan is the Red Hulk. It's Red Skull Hulk. Watch out.
Oh no! Did somebody walk through Ross's green door?
Who knows? The green doors, but we've already established that some of them are red, and they have brown ones too. That Madman was brown, so. And sometimes they're gray. So where's the gray door? Maybe we should all walk through the gray door. Let's call that a night. Philip, anything else you want to talk about tonight?
No, I think we covered a lot tonight.
Covered way more than we should have. And you know what? If you heard it all, I'm glad you appreciated it. I'm glad you listened to it. If you are having trouble hearing us, it is probably because you're using cheap dollar store headphones to listen to us. So I'm going to give you this advice. Go right now to tweakedaudio.com. Use the coupon code Southgate. Get a discount on those high-quality headsets that you can buy right now. Likewise, take that coupon code Southgate. Go over to huntedkiller.com. Use it there. Get a discount on their wonderful games and puzzles to solve. If you're an intellectual person and like to solve puzzles, that would be a good thing for you, using that coupon code Southgate to get the discount. And then if none of that interests you, go down to our show notes, click on the Amazon link, go to Amazon, buy whatever you like. And while you're there, if you're interested, buy Pod Life, the book written by the folks here at Southgate Media Group, which tell you how podcasting has saved their lives and made them better people. And maybe it'll work for you too. So go pick up Pod Life, the book. It's available in hard copy. It is available in digital download. And it may soon be available in audiobook as well. Rob's working on that. He'll get back to us. And that's great. And if not, just use that link in our notes and go to Amazon and buy whatever the heck you want. I don't care. It's not our problem at that point. And in the meantime, Philip, if they would like to contact you, how can they do so?
The easiest way to contact me or any of our team is email capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And find links to all of our social media, links to all of our stuff at Linktree, lanktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
And, of course, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our Moz and Poz once did, do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet, hopefully when I remember and I'm not exhausted, at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time DuckTales, a woohoo, at Charlie Esser, that's CHARLIE, ESSER. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has been another episode of Super Connectivity. I hope that you have been properly connected. And if not, come back next week and we will super connect you once again. Good night.
Good night.
All right.
Hooray!
That worked out well.
Oh, yeah. I love you're like, half an hour. We'll do half an hour.
Yeah, well, I get tired.
Hey, Ta-Nehisi Codes.
He's an enigma wrapped in a riddle, tied up in a mystery.